Thank you, Teresa, and may God bless the reading of this word. All right, today I want to start with something a little different. Sean and I are going to do a role play. So I'm announcing this to you right now. This is role playing. This is like, whose line is it anyway? Because we really don't know what we're doing yet. But okay, so here's the situation. I've decided to join a health club because I've been talking to my physician, and now I'm a few days past 50 years old. And
was that 50?
You're not in the story yet. You're still at the health club. And so I'm driving to the health club because I'm going to meet this guy that I talked to on the telephone. He's a trainer, and he told me to come with a clear mission in mind. What is it I want to accomplish? So I'm going with a clear mission in mind. Do y'all understand that? Say that with me. You got a mission, Doug? Come on. Got a mission, Doug. I got a mission. By the way, the mission is I need to drop about 20 or 30 pounds, mostly right through here. That's going to help my back. And I need to improve my cardiac health because, after all, I'm a few days past, what was that again?
49.
Thank you, Sean. Now you're in the story. So here I go. I'm going in. And I'm going to meet my trainer. Hi, Sean.
Hello, Doug. How are you, man?
I'm good, sir. I'm just like we talked about on the phone. I'm here. I have a mission in mind, Sean. I need to drop a few pounds. I need to improve my cardiac health. That's my mission. Can you help me? So your
mission, yeah, you want to drop a few pounds,
yes,
and you want to improve your cardiac health.
That's right, sir. Yes.
Easy, brother.
Easy? Good.
I got 3 things for you.
3 things I need?
Three things. Can you do 3 things for me?
My wife says I can't, but I can try.
We're gonna take a shot at this.
3 things.
If you can do these 3 things for me, man, I promise you we can get these results you want.
What are
All
they?
right. First one, this is probably the most important. Be faithful and show up.
Faithful and show up.
Can you do that?
Faithful and show up. Yeah, Sean, I will. I'll be here. If I make a commitment, I'll be here.
All right, man.
Okay.
Second thing is when you're here, brother, I need you to work hard.
Work hard.
That's it. It's written right there.
Man, again, don't talk to my wife. But I work hard, buddy. I'm a hard worker, man. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to trust you. Okay. All right. The last one is probably the most important.
Okay.
I need you to keep a positive attitude.
Oh, look at me, man. Is it? So this is it?
That's it.
Show up, work hard.
I'm not even talking about your hair. If you'll just do this, we can make this happen.
I can do this.
All right.
And this, all of this, and I'll drop pounds, and I'll.
Man, you will drop the pounds. You'll improve your cardiovascular, your back. You were talking about. I know you play guitar. Is that what I understand?
Yeah.
Little
Gave
guitar
up the
playing.
Les Pauls because,
yeah. Jimmy did the same thing, so don't worry.
Okay. So I'm ready then. If
you want to start right now?
Let's go. Man.
Okay.
Let's go.
You told me you're a pretty fast guy, right? Used to be when you ran a lot? Okay.
Good.
So let's do a couple things first. First of all, I want to go ahead and stretch out a little bit. And because you're a fast guy, a little health lesson, your hamstrings are your brakes. So we want them loosened up because I don't want you to go too fast.
That's my hamstring.
I want to make sure we can do it. So what we're going to do is take your heels and put them in the floor. Just like you're trying to push down.
Well, they're already there. But
okay, but act like you're pushing down. Okay. To do that, soften your knees, brace your abs.
That's good. I like it.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. I need 2 fists.
There they are. Oh, right, you want mine? Yeah.
Now, follow me.
Okay.
Straight, touch.
Touch what?
The floor.
Oh, yeah.
No. Straight legs.
Oh, straight legs.
Floor, 2 fists.
Well, heck, you do it.
I just did.
Okay. Oh.
No.
A little push. Oh, that's enough. That's enough. Okay. Maybe we'll do a little stretching later.
But we got a starting point. That's a good thing. Yeah. All right. So let's go over here to the treadmill. Follow me over here.
Right, yeah.
What I want you to do is jump on the treadmill here, and we're gonna step on the treadmill.
I did that at the doctor's office. That's how I got here.
Mine's a little different. Here, let me step around. Okay. I'm gonna control the speed, and what I want you to do is just take a little light jog about 3 miles an hour here. How does that feel? That feel good?
Yeah.
All right. Now, they say that when you run on a treadmill, that if you don't turn the incline up, it's like running downhill, which is bad for you. So I'm going to turn this incline up to about 3 over here.
Okay.
All right. Now we're going to get off the warm-up. We're actually going to start to run. Let's turn it up a little bit.
Whoa. Wait a minute. No, it's okay. Okay. No, it's beating a little fast. I think I'm done.
So running may not be where we want to start at.
Okay.
So to play guitar, you got to be a pretty strong guy, I'm guessing, because you got to move gear and music around and things like that, and you got to, you don't want some young kid showing you up, right?
It helps with the image.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to work on that image.
Okay.
Shoulders and chest, when you're playing guitar, probably make everybody think you're really, really in shape and just, macho ego thing, right? So let's do some push-ups.
Okay. What?
Push-ups.
Push-ups?
On your toes.
Wait a minute. But you told me that all I had to do was show up,
right?
Work hard, and keep a positive attitude.
Well, so far we got to show up.
You didn't tell me about the treadmill and the push-ups and all that.
Well, that comes back to the work hard. You see, in order for this to happen, you have to be engaged.
Well, can we just show up and have a good attitude?
You can show up and have a really good attitude, and you're going to go home the same way you got here, and probably a little more discouraged, actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to hit your wallet every time for $50.
Okay. Yeah.
So if that makes you feel better and lighter.
I'm starting to understand membership now.
Right.
Yeah.
Membership, it has a cost to it, brother. It's not free.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go home and talk to my wife about these things, and I'll get a hold of you, okay, Sean?
All right, you get back to me when you're ready to get serious.
All right. Give Sean a hand, would you? All right. If y'all got that, I'm done. If not, I got a little explaining to do. Okay. First of all, I want to tell you this is the Pentecost season. Most of you, or some of you know that. I shouldn't say most. Maybe some of you know. This is the Pentecost season. It began a couple of weeks ago when we had baptisms on Pentecost Sunday, or a few weeks ago now. And so we're in this long season. It's going to carry us through the summer and into the fall and even right up to Thanksgiving and to Advent. So we're digging in for the season. And one of the things I want to talk to you about during the Pentecost season, since it celebrates the birth of the church, during this summer, I want to talk to you about church. Why even be involved with church? What's the purpose for having a relationship with a local congregation, and what role does the congregation play in your community, and what role does it play in the larger church? Why do it at all? And if we're going to be church, who should we be serving? Who should we be reaching out to? And how is it that we would carry out this outreach? Perhaps there are things we need to understand about the people that we're trying to reach, okay? So, I want to start today by talking about our local congregation and what it means to be a member of the congregation. I want to do this in the context of mission and vision, okay? When you come to a congregation, most congregations now have a clear and concise mission statement. And there are a lot of different schools of thought on that. Some people would say that the mission statement is not a necessary thing or an oversimplification, or that all churches have the same mission, and we're going to talk about that too. And then some would say that the mission is very important in the life of the church. Now, here's what I say, is that I remember reading in Leadership on the Other Side, and I didn't go back and pull out quotes. I'll let you do that. You read it, find out if I remember what Bill Eason was saying correctly. But what I remember Bill Eason saying was that in the Protestant era, in basically the late 20th century, the mid-20th century, people would join a church and immediately get involved in committee works and in teamwork in the church. And so say you joined this church, and what we would have done, say in 1959, was that 5 people would have been on you in the first 2 weeks saying, we really need you to join the outreach committee, or we really need you on the evangelism committee, or the property committee needs a new person, and we understand you work in construction or in a business related. We're finding your skills, your gifts, and we're trying to find a place that you can plug in. Now, one thing that's clear is plugging into teams builds teamwork, it builds community in the life of the church. The problem where this model broke down was that for a lot of people, listen to me, babes, listen. For a lot of people, when they got plugged into their committee or their particular place to work and serve in that church, then that became their whole church life. That became their church work. And we lost the focus on keeping the main thing the main thing. If you saw what I wrote when I was asking you to come help clean the building, I said, if you're in a Bible study on Sunday night or through the week, I'll give you permission to do the dishes at 9 o'clock if you want to come do it, but not at 10. Because we need to remember to keep the main thing the main thing. We are a body that meets to worship together. And everything we do radiates from that center. You understand? Our life of worship dictates how we're going to live Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, how we're going to reach the world around us, and how we're going to relate to one another here. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. Now, what is the mission of Wylie Christian Church? Can anyone say it? Almost. You're saying the vision. The vision is how we accomplish the mission. The mission is our first statement that simply says, what are we up to? Say again. Almost. I like it, though. She put a new spin on it. Maybe we do need to listen to people outside the church, and maybe we would become more Christ-like. But you're close. To allow God to draw the world to Christ through our lives. That's the mission of this church. Now, the first thing I want to point out about it is in response to what Bill Easom said. I've seen this happen. In my opinion, when you join a church that's alive, active, and changing, and emerging, and things are different, and that's really, it's either that or church as we've known it, which is not really bearing up a lot. So, okay, when you do this, you've got to understand what it is you're joining. And I think it's so important for you to sit for a year and listen to the sermons. And I think that for this reason. I think in this age, a good pastor has his finger on the pulse of the mission and the outreach and the ministry of that church. If the pastor does not have a clear concept of the vision or the mission and the vision of the church and where the church is going, the pastor may not be able to communicate that effectively. But in a good situation, listening to sermons for a year should really help you to own and understand the mission of that particular congregation. Okay? Now, when I grew up, every congregation had the same mission. We were to carry the gospel throughout the world. I thought we were all supposed to be missionaries. Everybody was supposed to go to Africa or India or somewhere for a few years after they got out of school, because Matthew 25 or Matthew 28 was clearly the mission of the church. And I think in terms of where Wylie Christian Church or any other local congregation sits in context to larger church, we share a mission to usher in the kingdom of God in our own context. Are you with me? I think one of the things we're learning through mission work, not that mission work is not good, is that we perhaps do that best in our own context. That maybe the day of trying to convert every person of another religion to our understanding of God through Christianity, through our context, may not be as clear as it used to be. That maybe now we could start, what they say now, the United States is the new mission field. Our region is realigning itself, and we're not calling our boundaries areas anymore. We are now calling them mission fields. We're not calling our leaders area ministers any longer. We're now calling them lead missionaries. And we haven't changed much except the language, but you know, if you start with the language, sooner or later you can talk yourself into living a new way of doing things and being. Okay? Y'all stick with me. Listen, come on. This is important. Some of you don't know why you're here. And I'm trying to help you right now, okay? Beyond the mission to the larger church, every local congregation has its own unique mission and its own unique ministry. And you need to really understand that to understand what is expected of you if you are a member of a congregation. And as much as we want to say at the end of the service, everybody join, the truth is, it works best when you know what it is you're joining and what is expected of you when you join. So, the mission of Wylie Christian Church begins in a big picture. We are going to allow God to draw the world to Christ through our lives. 4 things I want you to get, and it's the same thing Paul was saying in Galatians today. First of all, it's God who does it. We don't have to create this. Helmut Thielicke said, if Jesus had a limited amount of time on the earth, and there were so many people to be healed, so many people to be saved, so many people to be touched, how could he take any time down to enjoy himself with friends? How could he take alone time and be, if he had so many people to touch, why wasn't he running from place to place? And Thielicke said the answer is because Jesus knew that God's faithfulness already covered the earth like a rainbow. That he did not have to create it, he merely had to learn to walk beneath it. Richard Rohr said it like this: When I made the decision to become a priest, I decided that God and I would be partners in this ministry, that I would do my half, and that God would do God's half. He said, as I matured, I began to understand maybe it's not so much 50-50. I got up to where it was 70-30, and then 80-20, and he said, I think now I'm beyond 90-10, and by the time I die, I may finally understand that it was never me, it was always God. We allow God to do what God will do. And we shouldn't be surprised when it's not what we thought God was going to do. We allow God to draw the world. And what we mean in that mission statement by the world is not that everybody in the whole world or everybody in Abilene would eventually join this church, but that people outside the church, people, families, individuals that we could say represent the world, would be drawn to a new consciousness, to a new life in the commandments and discipleship of Jesus Christ. And the best way I know to accomplish that is by simply living our lives in a unique and authentic fashion. That's why we say we're going to allow God to do this. He's going to reach the world through our lives as we live every day. So that's it. So if you join this church, all you have to do is just agree to let God use your life, the way you live from day to day, to reach people, and that's it. Oh, there's a few bullet points in the vision statement. You know, reaching outside your comfort zones and loving unconditionally, and that tough part, accepting love, and there are those things. But you know what? They are a great philosophical outline for the mission and the ministries of this church. But they're like me going to the gym in the skit you saw. And when the guy said, work hard, keep a positive attitude, and show up, what he really meant was, we got to get on the treadmill. We got to hit the weight bench. We got to do some stretching. You see, the mission and the vision give us some boundaries. But inside there are other things that we need to be doing. Now, there are obvious things. There are Bible studies. There are ministries in terms of Christian development to those inside the church. Our children's ministries are bursting at the seams right now, in case you haven't noticed. And it's not just that they're growing in numbers and they're more noisy little kids running around the building. It's also, if you were here on Youth Sunday, you saw this in a real clear way. They are also growing. They're learning now to teach us things about the church, okay? Well, one of the ways you accomplish that, I'm afraid my trainer was right. Number one is show up. Once upon a time, they asked me to be a deacon at First Christian Church, and I said, wow, me? I'm a rock and roll guy. Why do you want me to be a deacon? I mean, how did I qualify? And the first thing the guy said to me was, well, you're here every Sunday. Now, if you're an elder in this church, I don't mind telling you, I expect more than that of you. You didn't get asked to be an elder just because you were here a lot. Although that's a pretty important one, but there's more to it than that. I remember T. Garrett Benjamin in our church leadership training in Indianapolis 12 years ago. And he said, you know, in terms of church leaders, elders, leaders, team members, in terms of these people not being there and standing me up when I'm dependent on them, he said, I don't let them off the hook. I go to them and I say, where were you, brother? I was counting on you. Where were you, sister? I needed you. I'm not saying we ought to go around correcting each other, but work hard. You know, I want y'all to be real clear about something with me here, because this is how I understand part of the ministry of outreach in this church. And if I'm off base, y'all got to correct me, because I'm the guy who talks every week. As a member of the church, there are a few things that you need to be ready to do when you say, I want to be a member. One of the things is obvious, and this is one that people outside the church are scared to death of, and they're waiting to use it as a point of criticism. But it takes money to operate a church. And I keep telling people here, in terms of fundraising, if you want to fundraise to send kids to camp, that's a great thing. If you want to fundraise to provide a playground for the community, that's a great thing. If you want to fundraise to put shoes on little orphan kids, that's a great thing. If you want to fundraise to remodel your bathroom, you need to dig in your pocket and find the money to do that. Because the world out there doesn't care whether we have a place to meet and sing and pray on Sunday morning, and it is not their responsibility. We can be church without all this. We choose to be church with all this. And then God adds to that grace, blessing, and mercy. Okay? There's nothing wrong with where we are. We just need to clearly understand what are our responsibilities. Now, please understand that everyone in the life of the church cannot give financially in the same way. There are some people who have the gift of being able to do great things financially in terms of quantity, and there are other people who do great things financially in terms of plugging in and making their difference. Both are great things, okay? It's true that 80% of the giving is done by 20% of the people. Are you with me? But before you say, yeah, I'm in that 20%, baby, boom, money should end every argument. No, wait a minute. 80% of the teaching is done by 20% of the people, and they're not always the same 20% who have the ability to give 80% of the money. Are you with me? Now, wait a minute. If you're in the 20% who can't give a lot, but you're teaching, you can give something financially. But if you're one of those people who gives in the 20%, just please know that those who teach in the 20% are just as important. Those who mop floors in the 20% are just important. There were more people at Royce Maynard's funeral than any funeral I have ever presided over. And he mopped the floors and cleaned the windows in the church. There are 20% of the people who do 80% of the fellowship. I mean, it's just, it works that way, people. We have diverse lives. We are busy. We can't all do everything, and when we try, we don't do any of them well. And by the way, if you've stopped doing any of them, pick out 2 things and get plugged in again, okay? Please. Now, in terms of giving, I really want you to understand this. The budget of this church, because of the size of the membership, I mean, look around. I want to tell y'all something. We're not Pioneer Drive Baptist. We're not Beltway. If you're not noticing, there's fewer of us, okay? And we're blessed. We're doing big things. But after we pay the mortgage on the building, and after we pay the salaries to the meager, bare-bones staff that is necessary to have a facility like this, and after we pay the insurance costs and all the maintenance and all the things that go along with it, guess how much money we have left in our budget? Not a whole lot. We are faithful to do 2 things. We are faithful to give in outreach. Did you know that your church budget is tithed on? When you put $1 in the church budget, part of that money is sent out of here to other places because we believe in giving to places outside ourselves first. And then we are faithful to make sure kids go to camp and we have curriculum for them to learn and grow, and for adults to learn and grow, develop and mature spiritually. But beyond those things, our budget runs out, and we don't have the staff we need. So you've heard a lot lately about cleaning, and you've heard a lot because of one thing I want to tell you. I heard this a long time ago. If you're not any good at cleaning house, here's how you fix that problem. You schedule 1 dinner party a month, and you will learn how to clean house. That's true. I mean, come on. I didn't make it up. It's true. Unless you invite people who don't care. They keep a messy house. I'm just kidding. We got company coming July the 7th, and there's a great emphasis on the condition of this old facility. But you know, July the 8th will come, and I will have my post-Easter martini if I drank, but I don't. I'll have something. I'll have a lemonade with some peach stuff in it my wife made. But here's the thing. We've put a focus on something that's an ongoing, day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month situation. And it's not that the building drastically needs cleaning. It's that there needs to be 20% of the people, at least, if not more, who participate in that part of the building, in that part of the life of the church and the ministry. I'm going to tell you why. Somebody, somewhere back down the road said, if this building is all we have to offer the world, then let's offer it to the world. Are you following me? If we don't have anything but this building at the end of the budget and nothing else that God can use to reach the world, then let's offer this to the world. And what we did was we opened the doors. When the Boys and Girls Club came saying, we don't have money, but we need a home, we said, here's your home. We will supply paper goods. We will do the maintenance. We will be radical in terms of hospitality. Say hospitality. Hospitality. Say radical hospitality. Radical hospitality. Radical hospitality is when 4 years later, when the Boys and Girls Club go home at 6 o'clock on Friday and you go, why don't any of their people pick up this mess out of the floor? It's because we agreed to do that. That's not what they do. Now, they help, trust me. They're very good patrons. They come in and they're good to live with. But we made a commitment. Now, they're not the only entity that meets here. The question is, why don't we just charge money? Why don't we just say, well, if you want to meet here, we have a fee and you can use the building. But I'm going to tell you something. I've always believed this. If you sell hot dogs, that's a fundraiser. If you give hot dogs away, that's a ministry. And I can't make this promise. I can only tell you what I've seen. But every time I've seen someone sell hot dogs for $1 a piece, they got $1 a hot dog. And every time I've seen somebody say, I'm going to give hot dogs away, and then they put out a donation jar, they ended up with way more than $1 a hot dog. Now, I can't promise that. I can't. That makes no sense at all, but it's the way it works. So when we open the doors of this facility and say that at the end of our budget, all we have to offer God is a building, and we don't expect. Expectation is not a word that fits with hospitality. When we don't expect from those who we serve, but we as members come to serve. You understand in the ministry here? You know, when we have these meetings in the region, listen, just take a breath, breathe. And they ask the question, what do we got to do to do more ministry? And how do we do more ministry? And how do we become more effective as church in ministry? And the answer I always give them is sell all the buildings, give them all away, give away all your money, empty that big savings. You know, there's churches sitting on these big old endowments and accounts that are frozen. And they're being good stewards to honor a promise, but then there's all these resources that are locked up, and no one meant for that to happen when they gave that. You see? When you join the church, there are expectations only of the members. Members have a responsibility to the church. Now, if you don't want to be a part of the mission of the church, you're still welcome to come to any local congregation, and certainly this one. Matter of fact, until you're ready to take some deep, self-giving, self-emptying measures, you're probably really better off being a frequent or every week participant. I wouldn't even call you a visit. You visit once. You're probably better off saying, I'm a participant, but I'm considering membership. Because we're going to ask you to do things. We're going to ask you to be radical about what Jesus asks us to do. the last part of this sermon. We are a very individualistic society. So how does this boil down to us? Does God want there to be a church? Does God even care if there's a local congregation? Does God want you to belong to a local congregation? Well, you know what the answer to that is? I don't know. I really don't know. Because I can't really speak for God. I can speak about my experiences with God as I understand them. But I can tell you this, the writers of the New Testament clearly wanted you and I to be involved with a local congregation. And I can tell you this, that the writers of the New Testament didn't have a problem speaking for God and saying that God wanted there to be a church. They even called the church the bride of Jesus Christ. And I can tell you another thing. I believe and trust in the experiences of the writers of the New Testament as much as I trust in my own experiences with God. Think of it this way. Because you really don't have to join a congregation to believe in God. You're a member of your family. You grow up in a core family, most of us do. You're a member of that family, whether that family is even an orphanage or a home. You're a member of this unit. And then there comes a day when you make decisions outside that unit. And outside that unit, you may be married or you may be single. You may be straight or you may be gay. You may be a loner or you may be a lover of the world. You're still a member of this family. Now, these choices you make affect how you live, the boundaries of that, but you're still a member of the family. What would emerge? What would happen? What are the possibilities of our lives of discipleship as members of a congregation? What are those possibilities outside membership? How is it that developing community in a radical way and practicing radical hospitality and stepping up and saying, I want to be a member, how does that radically transform our lives? The answer is, I don't know. But that's what we're going to find out during the course of this summer. Takes a little while. You gotta show up. Make a commitment. Show up. Summer's a great time not to come to church. I'm making it a great time to be here this year. You got to work hard. Maybe it's mopping floors. Maybe it's attending a Bible study. Maybe it's getting involved in a fundraiser. But you got to work hard. Number 3, you got to keep a positive attitude. You got to continue to encourage one another as we move forward in mission, okay? Y'all stay with me. It's going to be a long summer, and we're in this together. All thanks be to God. Would you pray with me as the team comes forward?